The universe appears to be some kind of gigantic technological artifact that defies the imagination, and I believe I can convince you of this if you have some kind of IQ as well as an attention span to match your IQ. And because we have to start somewhere, let us start by comparing what are called molecular clouds to the concept of cloud computing, as we bear in mind that molecular clouds, the ones that I am referring to, are distributed throughout the universe and are largely made of molecular hydrogen and are where star formation takes place, which I am not going to go into here. What is significant here, however, and what I want you to focus on, is that the structure and language of cloud computing models appear to be identical to the structure and language of molecular clouds, which are mirror images of each other. And this might include dynamical similarities, I suspect. The similarities between the natural universe and technology include the fact that cloud computing models overlap into what is called swarm computing models, essentially, with so-called black hole swarms fitting in nicely here, as we bear in mind throughout this video that black holes are supposedly computers, and with the concept of swarm computing overlapping into the concept of what is called cluster computing, as we bear in mind that galaxy and star clusters contain black holes, including clusters of black holes, and with black holes serving as computers of some kind, with me repeating this concept like a broken record throughout this video. Also bear in mind that the language of astrophysics at large is identical to the language of these computer technologies you are looking at, plus other technologies you will see compared to the natural universe in this video. Not only are they structurally and dynamically similar, but I would bet money on the notion that they are also chemically identical. I think this would include the billions, if not trillions, of so-called classical and quantum black holes that supposedly riddle our universe, compared to classical and quantum computers, respectively, with us focusing now primarily on the quantum nature thereof, with the black holes that supposedly permeate our universe, including galaxies like our Milky Way, in which any number of black holes are probably playing their computational roles in the quantum computer system that some scientists call the quantum universe. I believe the universe is an evolving, self-generating technological artifact of some kind that defies the imagination. In which the four corners of our entangled universe are supposedly quantum entangled and interconnected at all levels through a network of entangled black holes, which are supposedly CPU cores in the gigantic quantum computing and simulation system of our universe. Whose secrets are also quantum encrypted, thereby making it exceptionally difficult for physicists to expose the hidden technological nature of our quantum universe. In a quantum universe that actually appears to be a quantum multiverse, made of multiple universes according to quantum multiverse theory, with me asserting that each and every universe in the multiverse is playing the role as a computer slash database slash server of some kind, with black holes playing their roles as computer processors that are distributed throughout the multiverse. As we bear in mind that black holes are also supposedly interconnected multidimensional entities that are likely playing their roles as interdimensional and multidimensional databases in our so-called interdimensional and multidimensional universe, which I think is dedicated to multidimensional information data modeling and processing and coding and programming and so forth, with black holes playing their significant computerized roles plus other roles as integral parts of our confusing multidimensional. And although I do not claim to believe everything I am postulating here, I do believe that the overall similarities in the language and dynamics of these comparisons to be too similar to be coincidental. This includes the concept of so-called black hole computers compared to the so-called singularity of the Big Bang, which supposedly exploded from a black hole, with black holes and the Big Bang referred to as singularities, which I am comparing to the singularity concept of artificial intelligence, according to these book titles, whereby artificial intelligence surpasses human intelligence at some point, which is what these books are about, with my premise here being that the black hole and Big Bang singularities at the beginning of time are manifestations of artificial intelligence of some kind on a universal scale, with the so-called black hole at the beginning of time appearing to serve as some kind of alpha central processing unit, among other roles, with the overall structure of the universe being an abstract mirror image of these computer data storage and memory structures, with their similarities being obvious, with the so-called black hole at the beginning of time and probably other black holes appearing to be 3D projectors, with the universe being their projection slash simulation, or something to that effect, as we bear in mind that the universe and everything therein are ultimately reducible to pure energy in motion, which is in turn reducible to pure data in motion. The universe is information. We are information. This means that the galaxies and suns and planets and all other matter and energy in our universe are serving as the technological foundation of our so-called multidimensional, holographic computing, etc., universe, our multiverse, or whatever it might be. I think the universe is a fusion of computing and holographic and imaging technology and other technologies. This includes optical holography and multidimensional optical data storage, hardware and software, with our universe being the equivalent of a data structure or data cell inside the equivalent of the much larger data cube of our multidimensional universe, or simulation thereof. in part dedicated to multidimensional analysis, modeling, and signal and image and video processing, coding, plus the rest of the multidimensional technologies that are being developed every generation. In a multiverse made of at least 11 dimensions, at least according to these examples that all fell into place nicely for this video, we can see in these comparisons how the language of physics and science correspond to the language of metaphysics, with humans and probably other sentient life forms throughout the universe appearing to be little more than half analog, multidimensional holographic data sets of some kind. Inside the multidimensional holographic universe at large, at least according to these book and magazine titles and articles that all fell into place nicely for this video, like pieces of a jigsaw puzzle that know their way home. It is significant that multidimensional technology bleeds over into holographic technology in the form of three-dimensional holographic digital technology, which in turn corresponds to the multidimensional and holographic universe theories, all of which correspond to the multidimensional and holographic human theories, which correspond to the technologies of holographic displays and holographic data representation and compression, storage, sensing techniques, and other holographic technologies. If the universe is some kind of computerized holographic projection and simulation of some kind, according to the book titles you see in this video, then the technologies we are looking at are the technological foundation for this, which would include the so-called parallel holographic universe theory with all its technological characteristics or implications, including the simple parallel universe theory, compared with some concepts and structures associated with parallel databases and parallel computing, parallel programming, parallel this, parallel that, and so forth and so on. Let us pay special consideration to the concepts of parallel programming and parallel computing and parallel computers. In a list of information technologies that can involve what is called parallel multi-core computers and computing, as we bear in mind again that black holes are supposedly computers, as well as serve as links to parallel universes, perhaps, as we also bear in mind that the universe is supposedly riddled with black holes, which are supposedly computers. And with us focusing for a minute on multi-core computing, as we bear in mind once again that black holes are supposedly some kind of computers. And I also suspect that planets and suns and moons and so forth also harbor some kind of CPU at their cores, and that's not even the half of it, in a universe that is full of these cores, as we continue to bear in mind the concept of multi-core computing, including liquid-cooled cores, which corresponds to the cooling core dynamics in galactic clusters, the dynamics of which I do not understand at this point. But the language is the same, and probably the structure, I suspect. With our Milky Way galaxy at large being some kind of multi-core network on chip device, with the rings of the Milky Way serving as the optical waveguides, with black and brown holes and suns and planets and so forth, playing their respective roles as CPUs, routers, gateway interfaces, and so forth. The similarities between the Milky Way galaxy and these network-on-chip devices are without question undeniable to the logical mind. In a list of comparisons, that brings us into another set of technology, jargon, and dynamics compared to astrophysics jargon and dynamics and structures like data clusters and data mining, data cluster analysis, including combinations thereof, compared to galaxy clusters and star clusters, which are essentially clusters of galaxies and stars that are either clustered close together or open and spread out over distances. Cluster computing in part involves a set of loosely connected computers that work together in ways that render them the equivalent of a singular computer system. This in turn brings us to what are called open and closed data clusters, compared to the structure and dynamics of open and close star clusters, the dynamics of which I am not going to elaborate on, except to remind you that galaxy and star clusters harbor black holes, and black holes are supposedly computer processor cores. As we also bear in mind that the universe could be either an open universe or a closed universe, depending on the density of matter in the universe, which would determine the degree in which this matter was interlinked, in a concept that in turn abstractly corresponds to the concepts of an open or closed computer system, which in turn brings us to what are called data clustering and computing, as we bear in mind that black holes are supposedly computers that permeate galaxy and star clusters. With the linguistic jargon and abstract models of hierarchical galaxy formation fitting in nicely here, insofar that clusters of dust and gas merge into what are called galaxy clusters, which in turn merge into big galaxies and clusters of galaxies, the models of which are identical to these charts and models of hierarchical data clustering and computing and modeling and simulation, analysis, networking, and so forth. This in part means that the galaxy and star clusters in our universe appear to be abstractly organized like computer clusters and server clusters, which includes supercomputer clusters compared to galaxy superclusters. The similarities include the language and organization and structure and chemical composition of these galaxy superclusters and clusters of supercomputers as well, and other similarities that are too similar to be coincidental, I believe. And with me wrapping up this video by saying once again that everything in the universe is ultimately reducible to pure energy and data in motion, including ourselves, whereby we appear to be human biocomputers inside computers, holograms inside holograms, projections, inside projections of projections of projections, including simulations within simulations within simulations, or something along these lines, at least according to these examples, if we take them at face value, with the photonic component of humans and probably other life forms being some kind of quantum holograms made of light as well as optical information, with our biophotons / auras being integral parts of the holographic projection / simulation, or what have you, we call the universe, at least according to the implications of these theories and comparisons you see in this video. With the so-called black hole at the beginning of time and probably other black holes appearing to be 3D projectors, with the universe being their projection / simulation. With our suns as well as other suns appearing to be playing simultaneous roles as holographic 3D projections and projectors. With our holographic quantum selves appearing to be projections, in part projected by the Earth, the Sun, and the rest of the stars, as we also bear in mind that we don't actually see the Sun and the stars, but we see light from the Sun and the stars, which has been traveling several minutes before it hits our eyes, with the Sun's light does, whereas light from the rest of the stars has been traveling for hundreds of years, if not thousands and millions in some cases. In fact, we don't even see the objects we are looking at, including people we are interacting with. All we see is light waves bouncing off them and into our eyes. This applies with everything. The universe could be a mock-up and we wouldn't even suspect it, except those of us who do, and a projection of what I call the technoverse or cybernetic universe on something akin to the Star Trek holodeck, but more complex, which I believe is made of bits and pieces of technology, and which you will become familiar with if you check out my playlist, for which I included a link at the end of this video. And if you like this video, then share it and hit the like and subscribe buttons and hit the notification button so that you will receive notifications whenever I upload a video.